Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Sunday night video. This week I am doing a little video back in Preston Cemetery, and I am just covering a couple of people who are quite well known, who I think you might find interesting. So I am just going to sort of go to, there's only 4 little graves. One of them is in a story that I covered recently as well, but I did say that I would go back and show you the actual headstone, so that's what I'm doing today. But before we begin, can I just say, if you do enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here or you haven't already done so, then do please consider subscribing to the channel to help support the content we create. It is absolutely free to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything at all, but it does help support the content for us. It helps to give the page a little bit of a boost, etc. And I just wanted to add as well that I have noticed, I know that I haven't actually shared very many of these, what I would call live videos, or like location videos recently, but I have noticed that when I'm doing them, I do kind of talk a lot more Geordie than I do when I'm doing all the other videos. I think it's because I'm just kind of doing me natural talk and there's nothing really written down, so I hope you can still understand me. So the first person that I'm going to talk about is Chaz Chandler. Now, Chaz was actually born Brian James Chandler in Heaton in 1938, and like many people in the northeast, he had started his working life in the local shipyards, and then he joined a trio known as the Alan Price Trio in 1962, playing the bass guitar. And later that trio would gain a couple more members and be renamed as the Animals. Now, you might have noticed at the moment that I'm not actually standing next to a headstone for Chaz Chandler. I am just standing in the one location, and this is because I haven't actually been able to locate a headstone. Now, I have looked online and it does suggest that Chaz Chandler is buried in Preston Cemetery, but there is no mention of a headstone. So either there is one and I just haven't been able to find it, or there isn't one, which is why there's no photos on the various different search sites that you can use. So I just thought I'd add that bit in just to explain why I'm not actually standing next to the headstone. So anyway, back on to the little story about Chaz Chandler. So he often played the bass, he sang the backing vocals, and he also did some occasional songwriting with Eric Burden. Now, he would eventually leave the group, although he did rejoin them on a few different occasions for things like little reunions that they had in later years. And he also went on to manage the likes of Jimi Hendrix and Slade. And Chaz died in Newcastle General Hospital in July of 1996, and he was only 57 years old when he died. So that's just a very brief little history about him. I'm not, as I say, doing a full in-depth history on everybody. That would be a bit much and I would be here for quite a long time. But I am going to now move on to the next headstone, because there is a headstone for this next one, and this one that I'm doing is Hilton Valentine, who was also a member of the Animals. So a lot of people probably know the Animals, probably know them as from one of their most famous well-known songs, obviously would have been The House of the Rising Sun, so I'm sure everybody would remember that. So this is the headstone for Hilton Valentine. Now, I'm hoping that my camera is focusing on that so that you can see that. It's in a lovely spot underneath this big tree that you can see there. It's quite shaded actually. So a little bit of information about Hilton. He was born in North Shields in 1943, and it seems that he joined the Animals by request from Chaz Chandler in 1963. And after the Animals split up in around 1966, he moved to America, and here he recorded a solo album himself, which was apparently not very well received, but it didn't stop him continuing in the music industry. And like Chaz Chandler, Hilton would reunite with the Animals in later years for the occasional reunion. Now, he did die quite recently. You can see from the details, if you can see that, because I don't know whether it's focused, but you can probably see from that. He did die quite recently in January of 2021 in America at the age of 77. However, his body was returned to North Shields, and he is obviously buried in Preston Cemetery. So that's, like I say, just a very brief little history about Hilton Valentine. So I'm now going to move on to another one which is a little bit harder to get to, so there's a little bit of a walk to this one. Now I did have to come and find this headstone first before I made the video, because I didn't want to be wandering around saying where am I going, what am I doing, because obviously there are parts of Preston Cemetery when you're looking at the older parts that aren't as easy to negotiate as what, say, the newer parts are, because they are more spread about, not necessarily in perfect straight lines and things like that. So I did check it out. So I'm heading down this way. You can see that at the moment it is a lovely sunny day, and hopefully it's not too windy, because I know I had a few problems with a few recent videos that I've made where it has been quite windy, and it's unfortunately it does take the sound away on the camera, so that causes quite a few problems. Now I'm actually trying to find, yep, there's a little footpath in here, because again, like a lot of cemeteries, they are quite tightly compact with burials, and it's, well, is virtually impossible not to be standing on a grave. And I mean, as much as I don't like to do that, unfortunately you can do nothing about it. As you can see, this little area here, and although there's no headstones there, there are still likely to be people buried there as well. So you now come round to this little part here, which is one of the older parts of the cemetery, because you can see from the headstones that you can probably see in front of you there, they are a lot older. So I'm coming round here now. Like I say, I did check this headstone out earlier, and I have to say that it was with a few nettles and brambles and things in the way, so I did kind of trample them a little bit so that I could get in to it. So this headstone here, which is, in my opinion, it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it is literally, the engraving on it is fantastic. I'm going to try and zoom in on it and hope that the camera focuses. So you can see it's a lot of scenes from No Shields. There is a, what we would call a fishwife, there's fishing boats, there's the baskets that they would put the fish in at the bottom. It is fabulous, the engraving on this headstone. And this is the headstone of Victor Noble Rainbird. I don't know why I said rainbow, but Rainbird is the one I'm looking for. Now, Victor was born in North Shields in 1887 to parents William, who was Irish, and Rosabella. And some information does give his date of birth as 1889. However, I found that most of it said 1887. In 1916, he married Elizabeth Kirkley in Yorkshire, and Victor served in the Northumberland Fusiliers and the Durham Light Infantry during World War I. Now, he did train various different places. I believe he trained at what is now Newcastle University, or Newcastle College, and he did train as an artist. And it seems that, unlike a lot of painters, he didn't just paint for fun. He worked mostly when he needed money for his family, and he did do a lot of work in North Shields. So a lot of his paintings are North Shields and the North East and the Northumberland area, but he also did travel abroad as well, and he painted in places like France, etc. So he didn't paint just for something to do. It was always to support his family. Now, for many years between 1917 and 1933, the Rainbird family home was at 71 West Percy Street in North Shields, and there is a blue plaque on the wall outside the house about Victor Rainbird. Now, although it seems that Victor did not always live there, because I did find some information about him living in Yorkshire in 1925 and 1926. Now, Victor died in 1936 at the age of only 49, which is literally no age at all. He died in Sunderland, but to the best of my knowledge, this is not just a memorial, this is where he's buried. And it is, as I say, it's in the older part of the cemetery, which is a bit more overgrown at the moment, but it's coming to the end of the time when everything's left for the wildlife, so it would probably be cut back later. But it's, like I say, it is a fabulous headstone. I'm just going to walk a little that, but you can possibly hear the crunching under my feet. I don't know that you can read that because it is quite faded and the sunlight is coming through the trees, so it's hard to see. But that does actually say Victor Noble Rainbird. Now on here it absolutely says that he was born in 1887, if you can see that. And over there, which I'm just going to have to stand on a bramble, it says when he died. But it's, like I say, 1936. It's very hard to read because it's quite worn. But it is a beautiful, beautiful headstone. It's a shame that it's actually so far away in the older part of the cemetery. So I'm now going to negotiate my way from here. I may have to go back out that way and along to get to where I'm going, unless there's a footpath there. It looks a bit brambly. We'll try it and see, because hopefully before I post this one, hopefully I will have posted the story of Edward Jennings, who was the North Shields man who won the Victoria Cross. Now, I did say in that video that when I came back to Preston Cemetery, I would try and get back up to his headstone and actually show you the location. Now, from where I am at the moment, I can actually see the headstone, but I'm kind of trying to work out how on earth I'm going to get there, because it is a little bit overgrown and there's little paths and there's not little paths, there's just brambles and weeds. But we're heading along this path now, and as you come to the end of this path, you'll sort of turn left. And I'm quite impressed because normally I get my left and right completely muddled up. So we get to the end of this path and we turn left and we go up over towards the top of this part of the cemetery, and we should very soon be able to see the headstone. Now, it's only a small headstone, it's not massive, and I have been here before. It's actually a lot less overgrown now to what it was when I actually came in and took the original photos, because that was a lot more overgrown then, whereas now it doesn't seem quite so overgrown as what it was. But at the moment I'm not actually finding what I'm looking for, because I think it's higher up. Yeah, isn't it wonderful? Because I was absolutely convinced I was looking at the right headstone, but apparently I'm not. Now I can see it, definitely can see it, because I'm just going to zoom in over there, and if the camera focuses onto what I'm looking at, that is where I'm aiming for. So I was absolutely 100% before looking at the wrong headstone. So this is still just as overgrown as it was the first time I came. So I'm going to come along to here and I'm going to walk along this overgrown brambly nettly path, and there's a lovely butterfly flapping about in front of us, and I'm going to eventually, if I don't fall down any holes or disappear, because I'm coming through an area where I didn't come through the last time, and I'm coming along here, and as you can see it's quite difficult to find, so this is why I didn't want to do it as a location video. I wanted to do it as a written video, plus there was an awful lot more information about Edward Jennings. So there you are, that is the actual location and the headstone of Edward Jennings, who won the Victoria Cross, and that shows you roughly where it is. So I hope you have enjoyed this short little video, which turned out to be a bit longer because I got lost, but I hope you have enjoyed this short little video, and I do thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again very soon.